I'm asking for funding for a research project in relation to a proposed public health intervention in Australia. The proposed intervention is to apply pictorial health warnings on containers of alcoholic drinks in analogy to health warnings successfully applied to tobacco packages. The population for the study are Australians who are allowed to drink alcohol. The intervention model has been considered in the United Kingdom and some progress has been made on related research. The proposed intervention, health warnings on alcoholic beverages, would have no comparator. The outcome is the effect such pictorial health warnings have on people's drinking and related change in deaths, illnesses and injuries. Both alcohol and tobacco are licit substances, meaning they are legal. Both substances are promoted and sold by extremely powerful multi-billion-dollar industries who advertise for their products but also sponsor medical research. Nevertheless, the use of both substances has been shown to constitute major public health problems, including causing cancer and cardiovascular diseases. Both substances are addictive. However, the alcohol and tobacco industries seem to be deeply committed to market their deadly products and, despite conflicts of interests, successfully manage to control normative scientific processes by creating doubts and scientific uncertainty as to whether their products are healthy. By influencing informed policy making and putting pressure on governments and lawmakers, these industries continue buying critical time and new generations of consumers who succumb to the harms of their products. Blurring the difference between political balance and medical scientific balance, they engineer consent and place the responsibility of adverse effects of the individual consumer, meaning all liabilities would rest with the individual consumer who allegedly agreed to assume all risks that might be associated with the products. Regarding tobacco, in Australia, legislation was introduced in 1969, enabling a health warning to be required on cigarette packages. Nevertheless, regulatory changes at state and territory level were not implemented for several years. Finally, in 1973, a timid message of "Warning, smoking is a health hazard" was placed on a tobacco package. In 1985, Australian state health ministers agreed to introduce legislation and amend regulations to simultaneously introduce the health warnings, including "Smoking kills," on all tobacco packages. The warnings were bitterly resisted by the tobacco industry and no effective compromise could be reached. Their pressure delayed health warnings until late 1987 and changed the warning "Smoking kills" to "Smoking reduces your fitness." Finally, in the last 10 years, "Smoking kills" was added besides a range of other frank warnings. This development has become a success story for Australian public health. We believe that the same is possible and needed to reduce alcohol consumption. Alcohol consumption not only produces illnesses similar to tobacco, it is also closely connected to committing crimes, such as homicides, physical and sexual assaults, as well as domestic violence by disinhibiting and creating emotional instability in consumers. Almost 40% of prisoners admit to having committed their offenses under the influence of alcohol. In 1992, alcohol abuse cost approximately $13 billion non-health related costs. A recent study showed that the risk of causing a motor vehicle collision is 16 times higher for alcohol consumption at any blood alcohol level in drivers. This includes being under the legal limit. Starting with pictorial health warnings may include images of a fatty liver, esophageal cancer and an injured bruised face, a domestic violence scene and a severely damaged car in a collision. Labels would have titles such as "Alcohol kills," "Alcohol causes cancer," "Alcohol destroys your liver," or "Alcohol destroys your brain." In the United Kingdom, the new findings in the research of pictorial health warnings on alcohol beverages were promising. Health warnings were associated with a significantly higher fear arousal in the population. Health risks related to consuming alcohol are also much more realized and appreciated by people. Pictorial health warnings stimulate intentions to reduce and quit alcohol consumption. Altogether, they make the public aware of the health risks of alcohol consumption. As limitations, the alcohol industry is powerful and not committed to give up their commercial interests. The industry manipulates science towards skepticism and highlighting the benefits of alcohol, such as a glass of wine is good for the heart. Alcohol consumption is deeply rooted in the Australian socio-cultural perception of a good quality life and living standard. Gaining sufficient lobby strength may be one challenge. However, it is believed that the benefits of displaying health warnings will prevail over the industrial and cultural resistance. It is too often believed that alcohol requires measuring the blood alcohol level to outline the risk. This means an alcohol consumer could claim ignorance by not having the means to check their blood level. However, this may not be necessary. It can be compared to tobacco, as it does not require to count the numbers of cigarettes smoked to conclude their risky effects.